Bucs when we out on that field. Quarterbacks tremble when our defense is revealed. Blitzing from the left, blitzing from the right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we fighting all night. Red, blue, white, yeah, we do it right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we about to take flight. We on a mission, ain't no competition. You hear the crowd roar, feel the ignition.
And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Ahoy, Buccaneers fans. Welcome aboard the RBLR Bucs podcast. So happy to have you on this journey with us. I'm Musab, one of your co-hosts and co-captains on this Buccaneers voyage. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's the offseason. Why are you so happy, Musab? What is there to be happy about, especially now with the draft over and all the other stuff going on with the schedule release? Well, I'll tell you this, because I get to talk some Tampa Bay football, and hopefully, if you're enjoying this, you'll be happy like me because you get to listen to some Tampa Bay football talk. All right, and fear not, we are also with you on this, on every step of this way, and there's always something to chat about or always something to reflect on, and that is exactly what we're doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to reflect on what's happened so far this offseason for our beloved Buccaneers, from the free agency moves that have reshaped the roster to the strategic decisions that have set the tone for this upcoming season. We've got some stuff to unpack. But before we set sail on this perilous journey, I want to introduce you to the trusty crew who'll be manning the Buccaneers ship alongside me. First, in our Buccaneers fleet, he is a man who is always ready to chart the course of football discussions. He's the navigator of insights. He is Zach Blaine. Zach, what's going on with you, man?
What is happening, brother? Not much going on over here. We played our championship game last night for the kids.
And how'd it go?
Well, it went. It was a game. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
We got mercy ruled for the first time this year, but it was fun.
Wait, isn't it like coach pitch though? So you like mercy ruled your own team?
Well, no, our fielding mercy ruled us. If I'm being honest,
okay.
We hit the ball pretty
man.
well. Our base running and our defense kind of let us down. We look like the Rays.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I thought it might be like our producer is saying like a little Coach Blaine no hitter kind of action. That's what I thought.
No,
yeah,
we're good.
Okay. All right. Well. And standing tall beside Zach, he's a Buccaneers tactician. He is the maestro of football strategy, the guiding star in our journey. He is Carter Brantley. Carter, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, nothing much. I'm actually in Fort Worth, Texas right now. So, yeah, chilling out here. Got to see the Cowboys Stadium, Jerryland. It was a great time. Yeah, sorry to hear about that.
You catch the Mavs game yesterday or no? I'm assuming not.
Not in person. I saw it on TV.
Yeah.
No, those tickets were like $300 a pop. I wasn't about to pay $300 to watch, Luka Doncic and Anthony Edwards. I'm not quite that big of a fan of either of those teams, but yeah, no, we caught a Rangers game today though. They beat the Diamondbacks pretty well, 6-1. But yeah, no, it was really fun to see that monstrosity of a building that the Cowboys play at. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm definitely hyped to talk some Bucs football with y'all. But Zach, sorry to hear about that game, man. Getting mercy ruled in coach pitch. I mean, my goodness, that's
it's the first time it's happened all year.
For sure.
I hate that it was in the championship game because it
of course
not a good way to go out, man. But
yeah,
the kids had a good time, and 2 of the kids will be back next year. It's my 2 kids will be back next year. The rest of them are all moving up, so we're gonna have a whole new team next year. It'll be fun.
Oh wow, hey, fresh blood. Gotta keep them moving. Hey, just like the Rays, man. You only have 2 people committed for more than a year. But anyways, this is a Bucs show, not a Rays show. We'll stop talking about baseball. Yeah, this is kind of a big picture off-season check. My goodness, if I could speak, because I feel like we're kind of towards the middle point of the off-season. Kind of time to take a 500-foot view of it and see how the Bucs have done. Because there have been a lot of moves. The draft has come and gone. There have been a lot of different things that have gone on. So I wanted to, just kind of take a step back for the Bucs. And if our listeners are listening in, they're enjoying what they hear, and they can take a step back and hit that like and subscribe button if they like what they hear, because we're going to be having more content coming out throughout the off season and, of course, into the regular season. And I know it seems like far a long way away, but every day we're inching closer. So for the first topic, it's for today's show. I wanted to talk about your favorite move that's been made by the Bucs, because there have been a lot of them. This has been a busy off season, and I'll kick things off. Zach, I'm going to steal your thunder, my man. My favorite move has been the Baker contract. I think it really is going to work out well for both sides, because at worst, the Bucs just committed to Baker for another 2 years, and then they can cut him loose if things don't work out. But at best, they've got I don't want to say super affordable, but a relatively affordable quarterback. I think it's a win-win for both sides. Baker gets paid, very well deserved. So that's been my favorite move. But Zach, I'll throw it right back at you. What's been your favorite move made by the Bucs this offseason?
Yeah, the Baker one is a great one. I honestly didn't even think about that when I picked mine, so I feel like I betrayed.
Well, you're not a real Baker
I
fan,
know I
man.
betrayed
You
my
gotta
point, and I feel bad for that.
throw away the jersey. Do the whole
My
thing.
favorite one so far has been the Antoine Winfield, the most recent one, the Antoine Winfield extension. I think he's earned it, and I think to have a stalwart in the defensive back room is nice for us.
Yeah, absolutely. No disagreements there. It's great to see him get to reset the entire market. That was super fun. Really exciting to see a Bucks player set a position market. That
Yeah,
doesn't happen super often. Just straight up with you, just being honest.
I mean that's honest though. I mean I can't even remember the last time it's happened.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that it has, but he's well deserved. No one deserved it more than him. So very exciting stuff from AWJ. How about you, Mr. Treek? What was your most exciting move so far of this Bucks offseason?
I'll probably say the three most exciting moves, or the three, I think,
Ooh,
iconic trio. The three iconic trio, I think, that we've discussed a couple times in the past, which was, can Jason Light keep Evans, keep Winfield, and also keep Baker? And that's exactly what he did. So, I mean, I'm just going to be the little cherry on top, and I'm going to go with Mike Evans. I mean, if not, if not Antoine Winfield or Baker Mayfield, I'm going to go Mike Evans. I think those three were just super, super big.
yeah, yeah. I mean, no
Can't
disagreement there.
yeah.
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 I mean,
Bringing back an elite
three
wide
three
receiver.
vital kind of pieces if this team is going to have any success, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, bringing back arguably three of your better players from a team that won the division last season. I mean, that's huge. And it eliminates any discussions of, oh, well, maybe they'll look to trade Antoine Winfield Jr., yada, yada, yada. Nope. They're keeping him around, rightfully so. So, no reason to even think about that kind of stuff anymore. So, very exciting. So, overall, what grade would you think you'd give him? Musab, I'll throw it right back to you, my man. Because they've had some great moves, those three signings, but notice we didn't mention any draft picks, so it's kind of a polarizing draft in some aspects. So what grade would you give the offseason for the Bucks so far, Mr. Tariq?
I'll just give it just a flat out B. I think, yeah, we did some
Ooh,
good stuff with the offseason, like those free agency kind of things, but was a draft, all sunshine and rainbows? Of course not. But it was satisfactory for me. So I think that's why it kind of bumps it down from an A to a B.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting. They didn't really reach out too far into the free agency market that much.
Yeah.
Randy Gregory and then a couple of kind of depth pieces in the cornerback room. But it was certainly an offseason that was defined by their re-signings, or their extensions, what have you. So I gave it an A. I was very generous this season. I felt it. I felt like it was they accomplished all their goals. I think they bolstered the interior of their offensive line by bringing in some veterans, some kind of under the radar type of guys, and they spent a first round draft pick on that position, which I thought was warranted, maybe not necessary or maybe not what I would have done, but I think I can at least understand it. I can get behind it. And then of course bringing back the big three, like we mentioned, that was just huge, and I don't think that was a given. Coming into this offseason, I don't know that all of us were 100% confident that that's what was going to happen. So for all of that to take place, I think, surely there's a few things here and there that maybe I would change, but you can say that for any team about any offseason. So that's getting real nitpicky. So I'll give it an A. Mr. Blaine, though, I'm sure you have dissecting opinion, or I don't know what the word that I'm looking for is, but a disagreeable opinion.
A little bit of a different opinion. I'm kind of on the same board as
Opposing. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I'm on the same boat as Musab. I originally had it a B minus, and I got to thinking about Baker coming back and Antoine coming back, so I moved it up to a B. The main reason there is we took away a starting cornerback and brought in more backups. So my biggest concern and issue is still the cornerback room, as it has been really all off season. So that's my main reason. If bringing back everybody, I give him an A. Like, it was great. It was the getting rid of people that I wasn't happy with. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm hoping that it's not as bad as I'm expecting it to be, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm not necessarily in a disagreement with you. But unfortunately, with the NFL, with the NBA, with salary cap leagues, there are going to be holes on the roster. You kind of have to pick and choose your battles. You're not ever really going to have a complete whole 53-man roster, top to bottom. That's just dynamite. There's going to be some spots where you're like, yeah, that team could use some improvements.
Yeah, it's
even Kansas City,
such an important piece. Like
for sure.
Yeah, pretty important. Give me like a left guard that's not the best. I'm okay with that. You give me a less than stellar starting corner, and I'm upset.
Yeah,
how you gonna have a bad left guard protecting Baker, man?
That's true.
I have faith in Tristan Wirfs at left tackle.
What I will say, guys, is if I may chime in, is that I feel like maybe it's just me, but being a Buccaneers fan before the offseason ride begins, I feel like, at least for me, I'm thinking anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? This could be really ugly, or this could be like really awesome. Or honestly, it could be mediocre, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly how I felt even throughout the season. Is like, listen, fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes with Baker. This could be really ugly, or this could, work really well. So thinking about those things, the fact that I feel like the Buccaneers do get away with a B in my eyes is, I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, they could do a lot worse. They could have spent a first-round pick on a quarterback. They could have they could have been Atlanta. So there's certainly a lot worse things they could have done. So that's why I was like, I'm going to give them an A, because realistic to my expectations, I think that they did a pretty solid job. So that's kind of where my head was at, not necessarily in the context of they hit all, firing on all cylinders. They are Super Bowl contenders now. Like, I don't think that was ever really going to happen. So in my mind, it was more of in the context of what the Bucs could realistically do this offseason. So that's why I gave them an A. But hey, I could give them an A, and then they turn around and they go 3-14, which turns their offseason into an F. So we'll see how it develops, of course. But speaking of things that maybe could change or things that could go haywire, is there anything that you would like to see them do to try to prevent that for the rest of the offseason? Mr. Blaine, I know you mentioned it already, but it sounds like you kind of want them to bring in a more solidified second corner to line up next to Jamel Dean. Would I be wrong about that?
No, you're spot on. On our document, I put make a trade for or sign a legitimate outside corner. That's not hating on McCollum at all, but we've seen him in a sense look lost out there. I'm not sold on him yet, and I know that it appears that Tampa is, but let's be honest, Tampa's not going to come out and say, well, yeah, we got a hole at corner right now. So, I mean,
it's a good point.
It feels like it just Jamel Dean, and it's not even just McCollum. It's the fact that we haven't seen a fully healthy season from Dean and then ever that I can remember, maybe early in his career. But when he goes down, then we're rocking with Bryce Hall and Tavier Thomas, and I'm not sold on that being our cornerback room. So I think the most important thing they still can do is there's still some solid corners in free agency, and there's a few that I'd imagine could be on the trade block. So we need to make a move and go get a corner.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all, because, I mean, I know they have kind of a deep cornerback room as it is, but, a lot of those guys are kind of redundant. They really only have 3 actual outside corners to begin with. Even if you just ignore their validity or their level of play, it's really only Hall, uh, Dean, and McCollum, like we mentioned. So they could use a fourth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you're just asking for just a depth piece, even if they just went that route, I think that would be great. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think my mind went to wideout. I think they could really use another wide receiver just because, I'm really high on McMillan. We're going to bring him up later in the episode, or at least I will. And I'm really high on Trey Palmer, but man, it's four of them. It's those two, and then obviously Evans and Godwin, and then after that, it's a lot of question marks. I don't know how they feel about Devin Tompkins or Keem Jarrett. Those are kind of low level wide receivers that maybe they contribute, maybe they don't. But I feel like if they brought in a veteran to really, really push the competition for that third wideout spot, that would be a lot of fun, and I think that would be really interesting for that Baker Mayfield offense. But Mr. Tree, what's another move you'd like to see them do for the rest of the offseason?
Ooh, another move. I mean, you guys already kind of took both of mine. I was already leaning. I mean, I've already been leaning cornerback after everything Zach's been saying so far this offseason, and I don't blame him, honestly. You look at our depth chart, and that's the only thing that really stands out. And I mean, same thing with the wide receiver room. I don't blame you as well, Carter. I think at the end of the day, at least one of those wide receiver or DB rooms or cornerback rooms, someone's gonna have to step up. We'll see about that. But for me, I don't think I have one other than those two, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, either one of those, or maybe a second place for me was the running back room, just bringing in more of a between the tackles guy. But also the problem is with a lot of these positions is the wide receiver especially, and running back, and pass rush. It's kind of a tough sell with some of the free agents that are out there. Cornerback's a little easier because there are at least some names out there. There's at least some guys that could maybe theoretically step in and compete for the outside corner job. And specifically, we got a question about that. Do y'all have a favorite outside corner that comes to mind? I know I do. Mine's definitely Xavier Howard. He was with the Dolphins, obviously. He's just someone that could, maybe theoretically push Zion McCollum to work a little bit harder, or maybe even take his spot. So Xavier Howard's my pick. But Mr. Blaine, this was yours. So who's your favorite outside corner?
Yeah, no, Xavier Howard is probably my number one as well. I believe Stephon Gilmore is still a free agent too, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be a close second. I know he's not as young as Howard is, but if
they're both still long in the tooth.
Yeah, exactly. And if we just need him for one season, maybe two tops, like I would take either one of them and be very happy. But I mean, as far as like young guys, I don't even think I have a young guy in mind that I would take right now. I was thinking Rock Ya-Sin, but he already got signed. So like for me, I guess I'm just taking a veteran, and it's going to be Xavier Howard or Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, and I will say, Patrick Peterson's still out there. J.C. Jackson's had a weird past few years with the Chargers. I don't really know if the Bucs want to take a wander into that. So, there's still some other veteran guys, but yeah, the young guys aren't really going to be available at this point. Musab, do you have a guy for that question, or anyone else that we've mentioned?
A veteran with experience is just a big thing for me. I'll take anyone. Yeah,
for sure.
Is Adoree Jackson? Is Adoree Jackson still available too?
I think so. Yeah, he was with the Giants. Yeah,
yeah. That would be a bad young-ish guy. He's not too old, and I don't know how much I'm sold on him, because now that I think about it, I don't think I'd bring him in.
Yeah, I think the only real upgrades would be Howard and Gilmore. Other than that, you might as well just run with Hall and McCollum.
Yeah, and it depends on what Patrick Peterson you're getting. He wasn't terrible last year.
He was okay in Pittsburgh, but
I mean, he's real old. Like he's
up there. Yeah. He's up there for sure.
Yeah, he's geriatric old in football. Like,
ooh, geriatric! Look at the SAT.
You like that big word? Again, so I'm learning.
Word for sure. Well, Hey, I love the increased vocabulary usage, and yeah, I mean, any of these outside corners would be a great upgrade over the depth pieces that they have right now. And if you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe for added some depth, give it some more, just give it some more volume, give yourself some more options. Instead of running out there with just Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean, you could run with the Bring Back the Devil shirt, a Tampa Bay shirt, or a Champa Bay shirt. The Rays, Bucks, Lightning, Rowdy. We've got gear for all of those teams and then some. Anything Tampa Bay sports related, we've got it. Head to shop.rblrsports.com, and we'll even give you a promo code since we're in the throes of the off season, so to speak. That's Cannon, CANNONS. Type that bad boy in, get 10% off your entire order. So the second half of the episode, we're still focusing kind of on the big picture, and we'll make some way too early predictions and some kind of just throwing it against the wall, throwing it out there, see what we've got. So I wanted to hear about way too early breakout candidates because, the Bucs are kind of in a weird spot roster construction wise. They've got a lot of veterans, but they've also got quite a few young guys that are kind of looking to turn that corner and really make a name for themselves in the NFL. So who are some guys that come to mind when you think of that? Mr. Treek, we'll start with you, man. Who's your early breakout candidate?
Ooh, this one's, I guess, I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I'm going to go Trey Palmer, actually.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
Trey Palmer is going to step up this season. Someone's got to, you know what I'm saying? It's come down to there's a lot of positions like that, someone's got to. My second one was Zion McCollum, but
I mean, hey, it happens. It could happen.
Having second thoughts. I've always had second thoughts, but it's just like, that's a hit or miss. But no. I listen. We saw what Trey Palmer could do. I love how he's kind of just he's an acrobat out there as well. So he's young. He can ball out for sure. I think as long as we kind of keep on giving him more and more chances. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that the increased competition that he'll experience with McMillan will be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, he didn't really have anyone breathing down his neck.
When Gage got hurt, it was game over. Like he knew he was that receiver.
Yeah. And not that he ever was complacent or lazy. I'm certainly not suggesting that at all. That's not my goal here. But competition, it can only push you. So I'm really excited to see how
pressure makes diamonds.
Right, yeah, all those cliches. So yeah, I like the Trey Palmer pick a lot. I'm gonna go with Yaya Diaby. I know I've been preaching about this much maligned pass rush group, but man, if Yaya Diaby can take a step forward and not just be, I know a lot of people kind of called him a sack merchant last year. He was kind of coming in, cleaning up after messes, kind of sneaking away with sacks. Not maybe getting a high win rate total that you'd like to see. But I think that he's athletic enough. He's got all the tools. It's just about kind of developing the know-how. I think Randy Gregory is going to be huge for him, kind of replacing Shaq Barrett as the veteran in the room. And hopefully he can kind of teach Yaya Diaby some new tricks. Since Shaquille Barrett's unfortunately gone, they still kind of need that veteran presence to kind of step in and kind of show the young guys the ropes. So yeah, Yaya Diaby's my breakout candidate. But how about you, Mr. Blaine? Who do you got?
I have another D lineman, Kalijah Cansey. I think we're going to be going into a fully healthy offseason, and hopefully we're starting the season off with him as our starter this year, and he's not hurt again. So if we can get a full season out of him, I expect a bigger season than he had last year because he made an impact when he played. If we can have a fully healthy season, I think he's going to be the breakout player for us this year.
Absolutely. Health plays a huge factor with obviously everyone, but especially him, since last season he wasn't really able to put together as much of a string of healthy games that you'd like to see, especially like you mentioned at the beginning of the season. Excuse me. Yeah, that'd be great. Get a healthy preseason from him, just allow him to actually get into things. That'd be great. So yeah, Cansey's a great pick. And on the flip side of that, there are also some rookies that are coming in looking to make a big name for themselves, making a big splash early. Do y'all have any early favorites for specifically the Bucs Rookie of the Year? Zach, I'll throw it right back at you. Who's your way too early Bucs Rookie of the Year?
Chris Broswell.
Ooh, Chris Broswell.
I think we're going to need him to step up. We talked about needing pass rush all off season. I think we all kind of agreed that was one of our top three things between that corner and interior offensive line. I think that he's going to make the biggest impact. We might not see it in the numbers, but I think he's going to be a presence out there to where there's not going to be able to be as many double teams as we normally see. Like last year, as long as you double teamed Vita Vea, no one was really stressed and getting sacked. Like that's what it felt like anyway. So I see him playing a big role. We might not see it numbers wise, but I think if you watch the games, you'll see it.
Yeah, and I think that your hope is that we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about the exotic Todd Bowles blitz packages. It'd be nice for the Bucks to be able to get some pressure without having to get so creative and weird and playing guys in positions that you're probably not super stoked about. So yeah, that'd be great if they could manage to get Broswell, Yaya Diaby, and JTS kind of in a good rotation. That would be wonderful. But Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? Who's your way too early Bucks rookie of the year?
Oof, this one I guess is gonna be a little spicy. I'm going Graham Barton. I think he's gonna make
Oh,
the
there you
biggest
go.
impact. I think so, honestly. Zach, I know what you're thinking, but I'll tell you this, and I'm still trying to find the answer myself, which is there's got to be a reason why we picked him up, even with his kind of minor experience of actually playing center in college. I don't know, but this guy has looked special. I mean, I watched tape and all that as well, and something just tells me that he is going to make the biggest impact. Obviously, when it comes to like the numbers and all that, are we going to see it on there, like you mentioned with Braswell? No, but I really do think that he's going to make a difference. I feel like you don't make a round one pick like that and for it to fail. I mean, it's happened in the past a lot, but something just tells me that we got to be confident with this one. We got to be optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to really, I mean, offensive linemen never win the formal offensive rookie of the year award. And it's obviously really hard to track offensive
Oh
line
yeah.
progress and how they're doing. So it's difficult to really ascertain, oh, well, is he doing a good job? Is he not? Obviously Pro Football Focus does a great job with kind of analyzing that with their grading system or what have you. But even that, I mean, it's still not a perfect system. But in my mind, if the Bucks are just at least outside of the bottom five in rushing yards per game, I think that would be a huge win. I think that'd be a huge step forward. I think that means that Graham Barton was at least off to a good start in his career, and he can at least provide some value. So that's kind of where my head's at with him for sure. But Mr. Blaine, are you itching to butt in or?
No, I mean I've said all that I can say about Graham Barton. I'm
For
sure he's
sure.
a great guy. I have no issues with him, but I just I'm so tired of Tampa taking these different
Picks you
positions.
don't like.
No. It's not even that I don't like it. Had we taken JPJ, I'd have been ecstatic there.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we took a guy who's played.
Oh, you wouldn't have.
I would. I swear to God. I even
Awful.
talked about
Actually,
it.
no. Actually, no. Actually, no. Yeah. Carter's right because I remember you were
I remember
flustered.
very
You
well.
were kind of like flustered. You were like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna take JPJ." Blah blah
Yeah, and
blah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but again, I slept on it, and I still hate the pick. I wouldn't hate the JPJ pick. He played center in college. Graham Barton has played 6 games of center in his entire career
Boo.
outside of high school. I'm not gonna.
Revisionist history right here.
I will not. I will not accept that he's a starting caliber center until he proves to me that he's a starting caliber center. And I'm just not sold on it. It hasn't worked out in recent years for Tampa drafting guys who played outside on the outside of the offensive line and moving them inside. That's why we're still in need of offensive linemen because we're taking these tackles and trying to move them inside and it's not working. So I don't get why we're repeating a cycle if it hasn't been successful yet.
Maybe third time's a
For
lucky
sure.
charm.
And
We'll
that's
see.
right. That's right.
We'll
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Cody Malcolm.
And I feel your
It wasn't
trepidation.
me.
Yeah, but I will say, Luka Decky shifted back outside, and he was great. He was wonderful.
Yeah, because he's back outside.
For sure. But I do think that Graham Barton holds a little bit more of he's got more of a bigger reputation. He was a higher rated prospect than Luke Gadecki was or Cody Mauch. Neither one of them were even close to being graded as first round caliber picks. So I understand your trepidation. I understand the hesitation about this pick, but I don't know. Let's breathe about it a little bit. Let's give it a
Yeah,
little
I mean,
time.
I'm gonna give it time, and I hope to God that I'm wrong. Like, I hope
Of
he comes
course,
out and
for
he's
sure.
the next Creed Humphreys. Like, I really do.
Absolutely, for sure.
I'm not. You got to prove to me before I even consider thinking differently about this pick.
For sure. And I think we can say that for all of these picks is that we'll have to wait and see. That's always the NFL draft. It can be a bit of a crapshoot in some aspects. But my early favorite is Jalen McMillan. It kind of goes against the Trey Palmer breakout, but I don't know. I don't know. I do feel like either one of those guys is going to have a great season. Just because if you're the third option behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and as you're as talented as we believe that both of those guys are, then you're going to have success because you're going to be open. I think that Baker's going to have more time. I think that the run game is going to be a bit better. So I think that everything's going to be a bit, up a notch. So I think that whether it's McMillan or Trey Palmer, I think it's going to be McMillan. But if it's Palmer, hey, wonderful, 2 thumbs up. And either one of them could do it. So my pick is McMillan, just because he's fantastic. I think he was just vastly underused at Washington. I think he's going to absolutely explode. I'm really excited to see how he does in this Bucs offense. So now we'll transition to more of an NFL view. We've been talking about the Bucs, talking about them to death. So we'll talk about the NFL in general, because hey, there's other teams out there. They were having off seasons too. So I'll start things off with this question. My favorite offseason from the rest of the NFL, because truth be told, I actually genuinely love the Bucs offseason. They might not be my favorite, but they're certainly up there. But outside of the Bucs, I have to pick the Steelers. I think that they had a wonderful offseason in regards to setting themselves up for the present and the future. I think they're going to give themselves a shot with either Russ or Justin Fields, whoever seems to work out. That defense is always top notch. Mike Tomlin's a great coach. So I don't know. I'm really excited to see how the Steelers do. They're in a tough division. I get it, but I think they could sneak into the playoffs as a wild card, just because the defense is going to be too good. And I think that Tomlin's going to be very, very readily, available to switch out the quarterback position if one's not struggling and one's not performing. So the Steelers are my favorite offseason. Mr. Blaine, had your favorite offseason around the NFL?
So originally I was going to say the Eagles, but I feel like I gave the Eagles too much. I gave them too much love last episode, so I can't go 2 weeks in a row of giving them love.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to go with a sneakier one. To me, is the Tennessee Titans. I know it sounds crazy. They got rid of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is towards the end of his career. They pick up Tony Pollard. It's a different it's a different type of offense. They bring in 2 starting corners. Tampa didn't bring in 1. They brought in 2. They got L'Jarius Sneed, who I think is a pretty – I'd almost put him in the top 10, top 15 corners in the league.
Sure, he's great.
They brought in – I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm just going to say his first name, so I'm just going to say his last name, Awuzie. Cheeto.
Cheeto. Yeah.
Cheeto, there we go. And then you bring in guys. They shored up their offensive line a little bit. They still need a tackle. I'll give them that. But and then on top of all that, you bring in Mason Rudolph. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Mason Rudolph is a joke. He's trash. I'm kidding.
Oh
but
man, for a second I had to hold that in, man.
Yeah,
for a second, or they stepped up their defense, bringing in Kenneth Murray in those corners. They brought in Calvin Ridley. Like, I think that they're giving Will Levis some weapons, and I'm not a fan of Tennessee, but I might be intrigued to go to a Tennessee game living out here now.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, they have cap space to burn. They had cap space to burn.
They still have $31 million.
Yeah, like with Will Levis under the rookie contract, I get that they wanted to spend money. I don't know. I didn't love the Pollard signing. I'm kind of mum about Calvin Ridley. I don't know. He's kind of a shrub.
The issue with the Ridley signing is how much it was. I do think it was.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying that it's the smartest decisions. I'm just thinking, like, overall wise, like, if you were playing Madden and you got these players on your team over who you had before, I'm almost happier with this team now than I was last year.
Yes, they are better than they were last year. Unfortunately, in my mind, they just weren't very good last year.
Oh no, they were
awful. They improved, but did they improve enough to win that division? I don't know. It's a bad division, I'll give you that, but they're also not a very good team.
I think it all depends on coaching this year. It depends on what style of offense Callahan is going to run. If Callahan runs a different type of offense they ran last year, I think they have a potential to do better. Like, if you're going to try and run the power run offense like you did with Derrick Henry, I mean, you're not going to be a successful team.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what Levis does, just because he's just kind of a gunslinging, just chuck it down the field type of quarterback. I think that's a lot of fun. It's either going to be really awful or really fun or really good, and sometimes somewhere in between. So yeah, I don't mind the Titans. Like, I think they had a good offseason. The Pollard signing just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't love it. And I thought like you said, I thought they overpaid for Ridley, which I was kind of confused by. I don't know. I like Spears. They've already got Spears back there on Tulane.
I like Spears.
And I thought that signing Pollard was just a redundancy. They didn't need to spend that money on the running back room. But yeah, I love the cornerback moves. I love everything else. Kenneth Murray, great pickup. Yeah, there were just some other things they could have done with that money instead of bringing in Tony Pollard. But hey, I'm kind of nitpicking here. But Mr. Tariq, which team in the NFL had your favorite offseason?
Yeah, I'm gonna take that love of Zach's from last week and give it to myself, which is the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I don't know. I mean, they got Barkley, they got C.J. Gardner Johnson, Bryce Huff, Devin White. They even picked up two guys in the draft, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Overall successful draft. So I don't know how exactly they keep on doing it, but it's impressive. So yeah, Eagles are my team.
Yeah, Howie Roseman, he's a magician.
He's a stud, dude. He's a stud of a GM, and I mean they even brought in Devontae Parker, who retired right after they brought him in. But I mean,
Yeah,
they brought him in.
moment.
Like that sucks. I was excited, as excited as I could be to watch the Eagles. I feel like I got to say that enough because I hate the Eagles. But as excited, I was at the peak of excitedness to see that team this year with Devontae Parker, because I think that a trio of Parker, Smith, and Brown is just insane. Like Parker's not a number one option, but as a number 3 option, I think he could be dangerous. So it sucked to see him retire. I mean, good for him, but it sucked to see that because I was kind of excited to watch their offense. But I also feel like we're forgetting to mention how good of an offseason Houston had.
Yeah, they were great.
Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, like they were already a good team.
Man, that mix and trade and then the extension was brutal. I hated that.
I didn't. I liked it.
Bringing in a guy his age with as much tread as he has on his tires, and then signing him to that big extension when they had an opportunity to maybe try to upgrade more other spots. It was tough for me to swallow, but I get it because they have a quarterback under a rookie
And they
contract.
just extended Collins too.
For sure, yeah, which was great. Tremendous. I love that. Pretty much everything except the Mixon deal I really enjoyed from Houston this offseason. But yeah, that's just me though. I mean, who knows? Mixon could turn out to be a 1,200, 1,300 yard rusher and prove me wrong.
See it in Houston.
For sure. Good luck to him. But we'll finish out the episode. We're coming on to an end here, and we'll finish it out with some kind of wild predictions or storylines that you expect to play out this season that are maybe a little out of left field, we'll say. So Zach, we'll start with you, man. What's kind of your wild prediction for this season?
I've got a couple. I do think that the Steelers run a 2 quarterback system this season. I think we see a lot of both players, and not necessarily because one player is doing bad. I just expect to see almost like a college style system run with Wilson and Fields. And then I have Caleb Williams going to be a bust. I say that every episode. And then, no, but in all seriousness, I think that we could see on the Tampa Bay side of things, I think we could see Godwin traded this season.
Wow. That's old.
It's old. It's the last year of his contract. We just drafted who I think could be his replacement in McMillan. McMillan played very well at slot, and that's what they're planning on doing with Godwin. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Godwin traded. I think this is the most we're going to get for him this year, other than the fact that he's essentially could just be a rental for the next team that gets him. But I don't foresee us necessarily signing him this offseason, so why not get what we can?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely one thing that you kind of have to wait and see how the regular season starts.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If they're in contention, then I think no trades are made. I think they just sit pat. But yeah, if they're out of the race, if this season gets off to a rough start, yeah, I think everyone's really on the table except for maybe a select few players. But yeah, if they can't get a Wirfs extension done, I think Wirfs is on the table as a trade candidate.
Yep.
Godwin's absolutely out there. So yeah.
I think even if we have, even if we're in contention, it depends on how good Godwin is doing. If he gets off to a start like he did last year, I know last year we moved him to outside, and apparently he got pissy about that, didn't like it, so he didn't play well on the outside, I should say. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. I think if we see another start like that, that is what pushes me to think he could be traded.
Yeah, it's just tough because if he gets off to that rough start, then his trade value kind of plummets a little bit. So it's kind of a double-edged sword sort of thing where
Yeah, but
you
it's
want to
still better
replace
than
them.
nothing is the way that I look at it.
I just draft picks are super valuable. I don't know if a team even gives up a pick if the Bucks are like, hey man, we want to get rid of Godwin. Was
Give
that?
me a corner. I don't need to pick.
Oh, those player for player deals, they never happen in the NFL.
Not anymore. They don't.
Right, for sure. But no, I dig that. That's definitely very out of left field. Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? What do you have for your wild prediction for this NFL season?
Oof, wild prediction, yeah, for the league. I think. Oh man, actually, you know what? I don't have one, to be
I
honest.
respect that.
Fair
Yeah,
enough. Hey,
to be honest,
it.
I really don't. But what I will say is I think we're going to see a lot of rookie. My prediction is going to be we're going to see a lot of rookies drafted like kind of in the later first round or kind of second round ball out compared to kind of those guys
Okay.
who were drafted in the beginning. I think we're going to see a lot of guys who were drafted second round or something actually turn out to be really, really good. That's just a hot take. My Buccaneers one. Oh man, this one I've actually thought about for a couple of days, I guess. Or I've always thought about this, and that is because you said bold, so I think, or I kind of want to see this man, and I think John Walford takes over the second string role. I think we
okay.
move on with Trask. I
I
think
was I was expecting so much more there. Like,
Yeah.
Oh really? Oh, I don't know, man.
Bold.
I feel
Then
like
you
you
went with a
teased
backup
me a little bit. I was like,
quarterback.
I'm expecting some crazy, like, we're gonna trade Mike Evans after signing him to a
Oh
contract
no,
this week. And I
man.
was like, well, what's gonna happen here? And then you hit me with Trask sucks.
John Wolford's going to be our backup. I thought he was going to. I thought
Yeah.
he was going to go with. I thought he was going to go with Wolford's going to be starting. I was like, oh,
Yeah, we were
absolutely.
about to throw
Oh no,
hands,
no,
Musab.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Throw
But
hands.
Wolford as the backup.
no,
I mean,
no.
we could see that before the
I think it's
season
just
even.
Or I guess what I mean more is, man, I guess my bold prediction is that whenever the time does come for because Baker and the boys are cooking and all that, and it's time for Baker to take a break or something, or it's end of the season, so there's no need to use Baker now. I think that we're going to see a lot more success in John Walford than Kyle Trask, and I think
Yeah, I mean, I
whenever
wouldn't
that time comes, I think that'll solidify my
I wouldn't
prediction
be
a
Maybe
little
they
bit
cut.
more.
Trask doesn't make the team at the 53
Yeah,
man roster.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe they cut him. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a bold take, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. Absolutely.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm not necessarily against that. Trask has been a huge disappointment.
And we
He
just pick
hasn't
up, yeah,
earned the
we
backup
find some other
position.
kind of talent. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I don't blame that. I don't hate that at all. Mine isn't necessarily like it's kind of like Musab's. It's not necessarily super duper bold, but it's a little bold. I think that JJ McCarthy has the best season of all the quarterbacks in this NFL rookie class. I think he has kind of a Mac Jones like rookie year. And the reason I say Mac Jones is because I don't believe that JJ McCarthy will find success beyond this season. I'm not sold on him as a prospect, but I do think that he has a really good first year because he's throwing to, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. He's got a decent offensive line. I think that offense is built for success around him.
Aaron Jones,
So I
that
think he's
running
going
back,
to,
that offense is scary.
for sure. So I think that he's built for success in regards to the roster construction. But I think that moving forward, I think that we'll see a sharp decline. But just for this season, I think he'll win Offensive Rookie of the Year and surprise quite a few people. So yeah, that's where my head was at. I don't necessarily have a Bucks bold prediction, but I guess if I had to choose one, I think that either McMillan or Palmer will have 800 plus receiving yards. I think they're going to have some
Ooh,
big
okay.
years.
I agree.
Yeah, I think
I
that.
was gonna say one of my other predictions was gonna be that Tampa has 2,000-yard receivers and one of them's not Godwin.
Ooh.
Now that's crazy. I don't know if I'll go that far, but that is interesting. I like
I
that a
think it's
lot.
gonna be Mike Evans, and I'm leaning more towards McMillan. I want to say Palmer because I like Palmer, but I'm leaning more towards McMillan being the second 1,000-yard receiver for Tampa this year.
Man, if McMillan gets 1,000 yards receiving,
I'm telling you.
that's going to be exciting. That's going to be exciting. But we're nearing the end of our episode. We really appreciate y'all for tuning in. And as always, follow us on socials at RBLR Sports. We've got some great content across our channel that y'all should definitely check out. In the middle of the Rays season, the Rowdies are playing a bunch of games. Lightning off season is getting into full swing. So definitely check us out there. And as I said, hit that like and subscribe button if you like what you heard. We'll be having some more content coming out throughout the season. And hopefully we'll sprinkle in some guests too. We'll be having some more people on the show as well. But as always, we really appreciate y'all tuning in, and go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.